Hello and welcome to part one of the SUFCtv Roundup show. This part will feature back-to-back games against playoff contenders, the first of the Bromley trilogy, and a cold trip to Halifax before Christmas. Enjoy. So let's start off with having a look at the month of December. It started off with a very tough away trip to AFC Fylde, first of two games in a row. We'll be playing fellow playoff contenders. So this was the second game in a row where Sutton came from behind to snatch a well-deserved draw and keep up their good record against the National League's higher-placed teams. At the time, we had 8 games against the 7 sides above us, and in the current table, we were yielding 3 wins and 5 draws against them, so a very good record. It was on Tuesday before we played at AFC Fylde. We had to come for 2 goals down to take a point home from Braintree. And at AFC Fylde, we deserved to be level, so we fell behind, where Bradley Pearce rounded off a fine full league debut with a goal. And then Sutton had to come from behind again after Gimme Touré's well-taken goal. 9 minutes from time, you'll hear about Gimme Touré later on in the podcast. And it was Paul Doswell sent Kieran Cadogan on, and his first touch was a crisp volley, which tied things up again. And Kieran Cadogan got a win. He had a blocked shot at the end, and Sutton ended the game on the front foot, and they looked the likely winners. Let's have a more in-depth look at the game, starting from the changes that Paul Doswell had to make. So Nicky Bailey deputised for the suspended Del Bennett at right back, while Bradley Pearce stepped into the centre defence. In Dean Beckwith's continued absence with a hamstring injury. It was a rain and wind-swept afternoon, and had 70 Sutton travelling supporters, so fair play to everyone who made the journey. And you got your rewards, saying the start, got a battling 2-2 draw. And it turned into a game of 2 halves, really. And having chosen to play into the elements in the first half, the U's probably expected to be on the back foot for the much of it. With leading scorer Danny Rowe having a quiet afternoon, to be honest. The main threat for Fylde came from Nick Horton. He showed his ability early on as he cut in from the left and fired in a powerful shot, which was beaten out by Jamie Butler again against the on-rushing Andy Bond, who could only scramble the rebound wide. So it was early pressure came from the home side. As Sutton failed to force Jay Lynch into action the first half, really. Jamie Collins glanced the header wide from a free kick, and both Charlie Clough playing as a central striker and Brandon Thomas-Santi, they dragged their shots wide. The Sutton defended well into conditions, though. The U's fell behind 9 minutes before half-time. It was a self-inflicted blow as Bailey sold Collins short with a pass midway inside the Sutton half, allowed Horton to race clear. Butler was off his line quickly and managed to block Horton's shot with his legs, but the ball ran loose to Bond, who this time was able to thread a low shot through a crowded 6-yard area into net. So Fylde got their pressure on did Sutton in the end, and it was pretty tough at the time for Sutton. It wasn't really the greatest first half. We did have a chance to level immediately, though, when Josh Taylor was fouled right on the edge of the penalty area by Arthur Ganahua, who was booked as well. And Craig Eastman's free kick deflected over the head of the defender in the wall. But they could have easily gone 2 down, though, Sutton, as Horton's 25-yard shot crashed back off the crossbar. A single goal deficit always looked retrievable, though, once the U's had turned around to have the conditions in their favour. As I said, we're shooting towards the real tough conditions. I think it was a wise move by Sutton, though. In the end, it didn't come back to haunt us at all. And Sutton were enjoying much more of the game in the second half. And they soon gave Lynch more problems in the AFC Fylde goal. Wayne Brown fired in a shot, which was comfortably held by the keeper, who then had to work harder to keep out Eastman's shot from a similar range. This time the ball rebounded out, but Thomas Santi, like Bond in the first half, was unable to react quickly enough and scoot the ball over the bar. The U's switched off once, Bond getting in behind the defence and he was denied by a fine save from Jamie Butler. But they kept the pressure up, and eventually paid off for Sutton as Brown and Taylor worked a short corner on the left, something they did quite a bit in this month. And Taylor's cross was cleared as far as Bradley Pearce, who drove a low shot through a crowd of players into the net. It was moments later that Sutton might be in front as Luke Burke left a back pass to Lynch short and allowed Taylor to nip in. But as he tried to go around the keeper, he lost his footing and was unable to direct the ball into net. Having worked so hard to get back in the game, it seemed as though Sutton would leave with nothing when another misplaced pass from Bailey wasn't his greatest game. This time giving substitute Harry Buteman too much to do. It allowed Fowle to attack down the left-hand side, and substitute Gimme Toure drifted in from the left and curled the shot beyond Butler into the far corner. So it just looked like at the time, were Sutton going to get back into it, looked a bit too much for us. You think maybe just Fowle were too strong, but Sutton showed the grit and spirit, which we'll show a lot of in this period of time that I'm going to be going through on the roundup show. So if Toure's impact as a substitute looked decisive, though, he's about to be upstaged by Cadogan. He was called off the bench immediately following the goal to replace Brown, who had just been booked for a frustrated hack on Ryan Crosdale. Rose free kick powerfully struck, hit Aswood Thomas painfully on the wrist in front of his body. But moments later, Thomas, he was lauded for his performance by both supporters and management after the game. Was in the far penalty area, heading a cleared Collins cross to Cadogan, whose first touch was a cleanly struck volley that found the far corner of the net. And again, through a crowd of players, just like the first goal, Bradley Pearce scored. After that, it was Sutton who looked the more likely winners. As I was saying just in the roundup for having a more in-depth look on this game. Charlie Clough volleying just over from a right-wing cross. Kieran Cadogan's goal-bound shot was blocked, but the U's could still feel satisfied with an excellent point when referee Martin Woods blew whistle. So it was a great point there for Sutton. And let's hear Paul Dossard's thoughts, what he thought, how that game went.
You know, knowing the few injury issues we had coming into the game, one or two played out there today that were struggling. But you know, to watch Brad Pearce come in for his debut, obviously we've seen him in training, and I've watched him in a Surrey Senior Cup game, and he's impressed me. And it was great to give him his debut. It's one of those today that not many people would have fancied us, I don't think, to have got a result. But not only did we get the result, I thought we played some really good stuff as well at times. 2 good goals. Just a disappointment would be the manner of how we gave Fowle their 2 goals. But I'm sure the 80-odd Sutton United supporters here today have seen another committed performance, similar to Braintree, who've come from behind twice. And as I said, you know, it just shows the character and the determination in the dressing.
Now time for some Thursday training talks, where I go into training every Thursday and talk to players ahead of the upcoming game. So ahead of the Solihull Moors game, I spoke to a young starlet, Bradley Pearce, featured heavily on my last game, which I was rounding up against Fylde, and Wayne Brown.
To come through, obviously my first game was a week before, to come off the bench, and then to come on there, and then in training the week after, tell me that I'm starting. It was a big change, but no, it was really good.
Yeah, it's a big game. You know that they're doing really well. You know, I've been told that they haven't conceded a goal in about 8 games. You know, which shows, you know, they've got to be a good team, set up well, and defensively have good shape. But you know, we're going into it with a lot of confidence. We're at home. We're on our patch. We played really well last game, so we're hoping to take that into the game on Saturday.
So let's now move on to the Solihull game. It was our second game in a row against a fellow playoff contender, this time at home though, and it was for the second Saturday in a row. Sutton twice came from behind to earn a draw in a very entertaining game. This was against a Solihull side in excellent form, who are unbeaten in 7 league games and having kept clean sheets in the last 5 of those. The U's produced a fine first half performance that deserved better than the 1-1 half-time scoreline. Solihull having scored on just about the only time they got into the U's half and kept in the game by several fine saves from Ryan Boot. But the second half was a different story, as with the conditions in their favour, Solihull was soon back in front and should have probably had the game sewn up before Kenny Davis produced a superb free kick to tie things up again. The wind stronger than at any time in the afternoon then ruined what might have been an exciting last 15 minutes and left both sides thinking that a draw was probably about right. looking to play the ball on the ground wherever possible. Sutton were more fluent than they were in recent weeks, and Boot had an early moment of fortune when he pushed out an angled shot from Brandon Thomas-Asante and was lucky that the rebound just evaded Josh Taylor. But there was little fortune required in the rest of the half as he tipped over a Nicky Bailey free kick, just powerfully struck from all of 30 yards out, and then twice denied Wayne Brown, firstly with his legs and then beating away a close range effort from a tight angle in the scramble that occurred. It seemed a matter of time before goal would come, but when it did, it was a shock as Solihull were barely an attacking threat at that point. They went in front. It was a mix-up between Taylor and Davis midway inside the Sutton half that gifted possession to Jamie Osborne, who carved through the U's defence and drove a low shot past Jamie Butler. The U response was immediate though. However, as Del Bennett's low cross found Craig Dundas, and while the U's appealed for handball against the grounded Alex Gudger, as Dundas turned past him, the striker managed to force the ball down to Brown, who this time was not going to be denied his first Sutton goal from 6 yards out. The first Solihull conceded in 566 minutes of league football, as well as 2 FA Cup ties. Sutton almost struck another blow as Thomas-Asante caused the visitors' defence problems all afternoon with some direct running without ever quite finding a matching finish. Flashed a shot just wide from 25 yards, while Solihull were forced into 2 defensive changes as Liam Daly and Jamie Reckford had to be replaced, but turning around to face the wind in the second half, the U's found it harder to recapture their first half form, and within 4 minutes were behind again. George Carlin's long throw was the only half cleared, and when the ball came back from the right, Bennett chose to try and head it away when it seemed to be drifting harmlessly away for a goal kick. It eventually fell for Osborne just inside the right corner of the penalty area, and his finish was again convincing, giving Butler no chance. Solihull could have taken firm control in the game, but the U's were grateful for Butler's quick reactions as he pushed away a long throw which deflected off the head of substitute Harry Flowers, and then for some alert covering by Bennett, who was really good all afternoon, bar that mistake I just mentioned, as Osborne again broke free on the right and lifted the ball past Butler, only for Bennett to scramble the ball away for a corner. Solihull could only blame themselves though for not adding a third when a long throw in to Adi Yusuf around the penalty spot, but the striker dragged his shot wide of the target in the end. It was a huge let-off for the U's as they took advantage with just over a quarter an hour left when Brown's strong run towards the penalty area after a good move was halted cynically by Carl Storer, the visiting captain picking up a yellow card and being joined in the book by Craig Eastman for his reaction to the challenge. In a central position just outside the penalty area, it was a similar setup for Davis to his goal against Halifax back in September, and while that one found the net thanks in part to some fairly ordinary goalkeeping, no one had a chance of keeping this one out as it curled away to the right of the motionless Boot and into the corner of the net. Davis had another chance 5 minutes later from a similar distance but more to the left, but this one was saved by Boot, not entirely convincing, and although the fear for the U's was that by now, it was almost unplayable wind that might work Solihull's advantage, there was no serious threat on their goal, and they were able to maintain their fine record against the league's higher placed sides, now unbeaten in 9 games at this stage against the 7 sides above them in the current table. So let's hear Paul Dussell's quick thoughts on that 2-2 draw. It's a third 2-2 draw in a row against Solihull Moors, and obviously another one of those draws coming against a fellow playoff contender.
I thought it was an excellent game. I thought first half, we've been working the last 2 weeks on changing things at home especially. We implemented that at Fylde last week where I think we're certainly looking to play more than go long. And I thought first half in particular we played some superb sort of one-touch, two-touch football and created plenty of opportunities and chances. Disappointed obviously the first time I think Solihull had got on our half. The balls fell kindly to him but good finish from Osborne who's got that quality. But to go back and right at the other end and get the equaliser was nothing more than we deserved. Having said that, we had the wind in the first half. Not a big wind, but we had the wind. Second half, that win turned massively into Solihull's favour, because it really got
rather ruined the last 15 minutes.
Well, it's
didn't it?
a bit longer than that. It was about 20-25 minutes of the second half, where Jamie's striking the ball and it's actually almost coming back into his face. So to then come back again from being 2-1 down, didn't defend a long throw, well enough, but then to come back, superb free kick from Kenny. And as I said, I think you can tell from the atmosphere around the ground after the game that everyone's enjoyed it. It was a very, very good non-league game against two decent sides in decent form. I think that's what one beat in 12 for us, which is good. Reading your programme notes, saying it was 1-11. So 1 in 12, we'll take that all day long. And like I said, I think if we keep playing the way we're playing the last two games, then our rewards will definitely come.
There was some outgoing news in the Sutton camp. Craig Dundas departed for Hampton Richmond Borough on a permanent deal. Let's hear Paul Dossell's thoughts on that.
I think he's been a fantastic servant to the club, but we asked him to come back to cover us for 2 or 3 games whilst we knew that we might be struggling with Cloughie and other bits. But he's managed to secure a deal at Hampton for this year and next, which I think for him at 38 is a credit to himself in terms of how he keeps himself going. But we're looking to the future now, really, and certainly, Jonah Younger will be coming back into the building at some point, and we've got to give young players the opportunity, and it's got to be a clear pathway. So there's a slight change of policy. The scouts and myself and Bairdy and everyone else here is looking at the best young talent that we can bring through, and when you mix them in with the experience of Collins and Davis and Bailey and Eastman, it needs to be it'll be a good mix. But certainly, I'm looking forward now to the future in this next year or two, and I think bringing young players through is part of what we should be doing.
Time for some Thursday training talk again ahead of the Bromley FA Trophy game. I spoke to Kenny Davis and Darren McQueen.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Obviously, we need to get a win, but I think over the last few games we've showed some better form, and hopefully we can keep a clean sheet and carry on scoring a few goals.
Yeah, I feel confident. I think I've had a good few weeks since I've been here. Things are going well. I think I've settled into the team quite well, and I think the team's ready to take on the game.
So next we went to Bromley. This would be the first of 3 games we'd have against Bromley in 5 games. This was in the FA Trophy. And unfortunately, Sutton's hopes of an FA Trophy run were ended in the wind and rain at Hayes Lane, as 2 goals in the space of 2 second-half minutes, both headers from set pieces, saw Bromley come from a goal down at half-time to win 2-1. Sutton led at the break through a goal-of-the-season contender from Thomas Asante. It was his first goal for the club, but finished the game out of the trophy and feeling aggrieved after having a penalty appeal waved away from referee Sam Allison at the end. It seemed though Jamie Collins, who was pushing to attack in the closing stages of the game, he appeared to be brought down as he tried to force the ball into net in a goal-mouth scramble. It was a filthy afternoon at Hayes Lane, with wind and heavy rain making watching the game a fairly unpleasant experience. And there were times during the first half when the action on the pitch provided little relief with the condition of the match balls causing concern on both sides, and the players finally taking any decision out of the referee's hands by depositing 2 in quick succession into the car park. With conditions on their back though, it was Sutton who produced the best moments, and there was an early scare for the home team when Thomas Santi reached a through ball ahead of goalkeeper David Gregory, who had to come outside of his area and was booked for the challenge that brought the striker down. Although with Thomas Santi heading towards the corner flag, there was no question of a heavier punishment. Playing the ball neatly along the ground on occasions, the U's created half chances for Charlie Clough, resorted to line up in a central striking position, and Josh Taylor, although neither was able to hit the shot on target in the end, Clough missed hitting a shot wide and Taylor's effort curling just past the post. It was midway through the half though, the U's did take the lead in spectacular style. The build-up was patient inside of the U's own half, and with Nicky Bailey then eschewing the long ball looking for Clough in favour of a short pass forward to Thomas Santi, who turned, advanced and hit a superb shot from nearly 30 yards that dipped over Gregory into net. JJ Hooper making his home debut for Bromley, headed just wide from a free kick when Bromley fashioned their first chance, and just before the interval, Adam Meckie shot off target. But these are well worth a lead coming to the break, and although they already had to make a change as Bradley Pearce limped off after midfield challenge, which grieved Bradley Pearce and manager Paul Doswell, the yellow card in the stoppage while he received treatment went to Dale Bennett in the end for a foul on Hooper, while Ian Baird's protest at the challenge on Pearce saw him get a yellow card as well. As it filed though, when the U's turned around a goal down, having played into the conditions, it soon became apparent that conditions were having an effect on as Bromley came out after half-time looking a different team. Hooper just failed to reach a low-footed left-footed cross from Sam Wood, and George Porter were just curling a shot wide. But the game began to turn on the hour mark when another Porter shot took a deflection and looped just over the bar. From a resultant corner, Hooper outjumped Jamie Butler to head the equaliser, and within 2 minutes the home team were in front as Frankie Sutherland was fouled by Kenny Davis, and after the referee had waited to see an advantage, we played a free kick which Sutherland took, and Porter headed in for Bromley. With Bromley then getting players behind the ball quickly, the U's found it difficult to play through them, and when they opted for the more direct route, Jake Goodman and Jack Holland had the better of the aerial duels, which is really unfortunate for Sutton. It took one fine save from Butler to keep the U's in the game when he turned aside a low shot from Sutherland, but as the game headed into stoppage time, these finally caused defence some problems. Clough's presence for once, forcing an error from Goodman, compounded by Gregory, who fumbled under Clough's challenge, and the loose ball ran to Darren McQueen, whose goal-bound shot was blocked in the 6-yard box as Goodman atoned for his error. As Collins tried to force the rebound into net, he went over under the challenge of Holland, who was mightily relieved to see the referee play on, to be honest. These frustrations mounted as Craig Eastman was booked for dissent after claiming that his shot had been deflected wide off a defender, and they were unable to prevent a first pre-Christmas exit from the FA Trophy since 2014. We'll have more updates though how the FA Trophy, our situation in the FA Trophy unfolds though more into this round lot show, but finished 2-1 to Bromley in the end. Let's get Paul Doswell's thoughts.
Yeah, I thought it was a game of two halves, as Tony said it just a minute ago. I thought we had the winning first half and obviously got in front with a great goal from Brandon. Didn't really create enough to get the second goal, which would have been nice. But to give away two soft free kicks or give away two soft goals from set pieces, not good enough. Very disappointed in there. Dots is claiming, he shouted for the first goal, but free header, and then really a free header for the second goal, 5 yards out. So that puts you 2-1 down, mountain decline. And then, for me, we've not been given again an absolute nailed-on, clear-cut penalty. And the bottom line is that's not the first time it's happened to us this season. Had the same decision at Wealdstone, and it's happened again today. I mean, how you can't see that's not a penalty is beyond me.
Time for some Thursday training talk. Ahead of the FC Halifax game, I spoke to new signing Brett Williams, Jonah Iunga returning from his loan, and also legendary kitman Clive Baxter.
Been speaking to Bernie and Doz for the last sort of week or so. Obviously I was cup tied last week, so it sort of happened at the beginning of this week. But I've sort of known him sort of from previous clubs, and I obviously got the call on Tuesday and then coming today.
Good. I've been away, played 4 games, got 3 90s, so feeling good, feeling fitter.
That was when Doz came 11 years ago now, and he requested he'd like a kitman, and Bruce Elliott said, I've got just a man for you. And so he approached me and said, would I like to be the kitman? And I said, oh yeah, I've done most things around the club, I quite enjoy that one. And of course the first thing I said was, how much do I get? And Bruce says, Clive, you're a supporter, you don't get paid, you only get expenses. I said, oh, that's fine, that suits me. That's how it all started, and I've been a kitman ever since.
Brad Pearce, who was in the starting lineup in recent weeks, was rewarded with a new 2-year deal, and also promoted from the academy, getting new deals, were Crossley Lima and Jude Mason. So here's an interview with all three lads. Well, Jude, a new contract signed with the first team. Fantastic news for you there.
Yeah, it's been a good journey last year coming into the club. So now I've finally signed. I'm very grateful for it, and hopefully I can push on now.
How have you found the development of Marvin Williams as coach in the academy?
Yeah, both Marvin and Rick have been excellent, really. If it was any other two coaches, I don't think I'll be where I'm at now. So, I'm really grateful to them, and hopefully I can reward them back with some good performances in the future.
Marvin mentioned you about playing Sunday League football 18 months ago, so what a journey it's been for you.
Yeah, obviously playing Sunday League football was a step up coming to Sutton, but I feel like I've adjusted well, so hopefully I can push on now.
Crossley, you've got a new contract yourself, so
Yeah.
how have you found when you've been training with the first team, how much of a step up has it been?
Yeah, it's obviously a step up. The intensity is much higher, the physicality, so obviously you just have to be ready to adapt and always be on your toes.
What do you feel as though you can bring to the team now you're in the first team set up properly?
I would definitely, my hunger, desire to play and win and, just work hard week in, week out, consistently.
Again, I asked Jude about it. How have you found your personal development in the academy?
Yeah, it's been good. I think I've been there for a year and a bit. It's been decent. Marvin and Rick have been excellent, just always making sure I'm on my toes, my attitude's alright, and just, yeah.
And Brad, you're a fantastic example of someone who's come through the academy, has got first team starts and a goal. So how have you found your time in the first team so far?
I've loved it. I've got a good few games under my belt at the moment. Still getting a hunger and desire to keep going, keep pushing them games forward. And I've really loved playing against JC and Dale next to me. So.
It looked a nasty cut you picked up. I spoke to Doz about it and he said thankfully it is fine. So you're looking forward to Saturday's game at Halifax?
Yeah, looking forward to that. Been in training for the last few days, all fit, so hopefully can crack on now.
And you mentioned about the development from the likes of JC and Dean Beckwith. How invaluable has that been?
It's been really good. They're teaching me their ways, getting their experience into me, so just keep going with them.
Obviously it was a disappointing defeat last week, but there must be now a great hunger in the squad to respond, especially now we've just got the league to focus on and we're still very close to that top 5, top 6.
Yeah, we've got to start turning all into wins now, proving that we can get to the top.
Well, guys, thank you very much for speaking to SUFCtv and good luck for Saturday's game.
Thank you. Cheers.
Christmas time is a time for giving, and the players and the staff kindly donated Christmas presents to the ill children at Sahelia Hospital. So great gesture from everyone. And here's a few of the players to tell you more about it. Okay, Jamie, I understand you lads are going to Sahelia Hospital to give presents to the kids. That's a fantastic gesture over this special time of year.
Yeah, we normally do a secret Santa, but this year Bobby's asked us to donate some presents. So instead of doing that, everyone had to buy a present. And to be fair, all the lads have done it. So we're looking forward to it.
Gaffer's also chipped in, which is great as well.
Yeah, the Gaffer's generous, and he loves kids. He's got 7 of them, so I'm sure he'll be there today giving out some presents.
I'll ask you about the hospital then.
Yeah, well, obviously it's the least we can do for the kids. Obviously, it's a tough time of year for them, spending Christmas in hospital. So buying presents, as we've all done, is the least we can do for the kids.
Can I just get your thoughts on it as well, Dino?
Yeah, definitely. I think this time of year, I think everyone sort of gets wrapped up in Christmas time, which they should do, but there's obviously kids who are going to spend it in hospital, which, as we all know, we wouldn't wish that on anyone. So if we can go there and give them a little bit of cheer, then hopefully we can do that today.
That's a fantastic gesture from you guys, so well done for doing it, and hope you bring smiles to the kids' faces.
No problem at all.
Pleasure, that's
Hope the kids enjoy it. Thank you.
So now on to the FC Halifax away game. This was a game that for a long time looked destined for a goalless outcome, but was given a dramatic late twist as Craig Eastman, who minutes earlier had missed a presentable chance to put Sutton ahead, accepted a similar opportunity in the 3rd minute of stoppage time to give the U's a first Vanarama National League victory since November the 3rd. Until that point, neither side had shown enough of an attack on a difficult pitch to suggest the deadlock would be broken, but having defended superbly throughout the afternoon, the U's deserved a late winner that enabled them to keep in touch with the leading clubs in the division, with Brett Williams making his debut after his loan signing from Torquay, and Jonah Iunga also recalled to the starting lineup as the U's began with a front three that was completed by Brandon Thomas Asante. But they found it hard to create chances against the Halifax defence equally as commanding, and there was little in the first half to enthuse the supporters of either side. Jamie Butler had to make 2 smart saves in quick succession, diving to his left to turn away Matti Koisilo's low effort from the left. And when the U's failed to clear the danger, a snapshot from Niall Mayer from just outside the penalty area was well held by the keeper to his right. For U's, there was a long-range low effort from Tom Santi, which was wide of the post in the end, while Williams met Harry Buteman free kick with a downward head that was saved to his left by Sam Johnson. Buteman was on the end of one wild challenge from Koislo, for which the home player might have been lucky to see a yellow card, to be honest. And referee Mark Edwards had his cards out again just before the break. A yellow for Sammy Odelusi for a foul on Jamie Collins, but a red for U's coach Ian Baird for a comment on the touchline, which attracted the attention of reserve official Daniel Guest. Just to have some context as well, Ian Baird was actually received a yellow card at Bromley the week before. It was not the best couple of games for Ian Baird on the sidelines, though he could feel frustrated himself that maybe he thought he didn't deserve the cards for his comments. Anyway, it was a confusing few moments for U's management, with Paul Doswell already in the stand as he serves his touchline ban for the red card at Braintree, and Nicky Bailey looking as though he might have to come off injured before half-time. Dean Beckwith being summoned before Bailey decided he could continue. It was the officials who provided the most noteworthy moment of the early stages of the second half, when the reserve had to take over with the flag after assistant referee Stuart Richardson pulled up with a leg injury, having to hobble from one side of the pitch to the other to be replaced. Both sides were still on top, with Halifax restricted to a long shot from Jacob Hansen, which was well struck and skidding, and needed Butler to be at his best to keep hold of it, while Matty Brown headed wide from a free kick. These brought on Tom Bolarimwa and Darren McQueen to give a tiring attack fresh legs, and opportunities began to present themselves. Bolarimwa's first touch might have been a scoring one, when both he and Iunga had close range shots blocked from a free kick, and Buteman might have done better with a far post header which went straight at Johnson in the end. A goalless outcome seemed certain when Eastman met a low cross and Bolarimwa with a first time shot that Johnson again was able to save without moving, although he needed attempts to do so. But deep in stoppage time, Williams collected a throw-in from Dale Bennett, created space on the right of the penalty area near the byline, and pulled the ball back to the edge of the penalty area. And this time Eastman's shot, again hit first time, was directed low into the corner of the net beyond Johnson's reach, and was enough to clinch all 3 points of Sutton. So here's Paul Doswell's thoughts on what at the time was a much needed win for Sutton United.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, looking at the pitch prior to the game as well, I mean, it was. I mean, the groundsman came up to see me and apologised in terms of the state of the pitch. They just couldn't get on it after the game Tuesday. It may have looked okay from the stand, but trust me, on the pitch itself, it's very bobbly, very, very wet. And they were saying even at 10, 11 o'clock, the game was in doubt. So it was never going to be a fabulous game of football on that pitch. We felt, to be honest, that a 0-0, like you said, was going to be the result. But when you hang in there and you keep doing the right things and you keep believing, it was they're probably the best moments in football. We talk about the 90 and the 10, with today's in that 10%, because you get a last minute winner, and you come away from a really tough place with 3 points.
Paul Doswell also revealed after the game that Charlie Clough will be moving to Brunei, so let's get his thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I mean, this has been ongoing for a couple of weeks really. Charlie's had a very, very good offer from Brunei to play in the Singapore League. It meant he quadrupled, to be honest, his money that he was earning here, and it's all net. There's no tax out in Brunei, and he asked me after the Gateshead game on the train whether we would consider letting him leave. And again, as a football club, we think we try and do the right things for the players as well. And one of those decisions was to let Charlie go to Brunei. He's been there last week. He's had a very good offer, contractual offer, but the club does receive, a fee for Charlie as well on the back of it. So, with the emergence of Brad Pearce, which is important to make sure he gets his chance, and obviously with Dean Beckwith being back fit, it makes it easier to stomach. As a club, we didn't want him to go, but on a personal level, it was the right thing for him. But with Charlie going, it does give me the funds to bring in the striker that I've been looking to bring in. It's someone that I wanted to get for some time. And, as you know, the club wouldn't have been able to be in a position to bring anybody in without one or two going out. So, whilst it's disappointing, and it is disappointing, it's the right thing for Charlie. And I hope, as I said, it gives more opportunities to Brad. Dean Beckwith's a more than good enough centre-half to come in for Jamie or Brad if they get injured. But it does allow me to hopefully bring in this striker who shook my hand on it over the weekend. And as I said, we're hoping to have him in for Boxing Day.
So Christmas Eve's always one of the happiest days on the calendar. And Sutton United fans were treated to an early Christmas present when Paul Doswell revealed the signing of Gimme Toure. This little feature also has a little bit of a sing-song from the lads. Enjoy.
We've signed Jimmy, as he's known, Gimme Toure from AFC Fylde. Jimmy, come and say hello to the camera. How are you?
I'm good.
You all right?
Yeah.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to sing